Welcome to the Smart Publishing Impact Series. I'm Renée Lautermilch, Chief Editor at Smart Publishing, and this is the podcast where we explore all things writing, publishing, and the impact of storytelling. In each episode, I'll share insights and strategies to help you navigate the book journey, whether you're writing, publishing, or already an author. Plus, you'll hear from inspiring authors who are using their book to change lives. And if you're passionate about storytelling and ready to make an impact, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Now let's get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Smart Publishing Impact Series. I'm Renée Lautermilch. I'm your host and your chief editor at Smart Publishing. And today is a solo episode. It is episode 27, and I'm calling it Your Guide to Hiring Freelancers for Your Book. So this episode is for anyone who is going through or considering going through the process of self-publishing your book. Obviously, the best way is always to do it with us at Smart Publishing. I have to say that. We take absolutely everything off of you. All you have to do is give us the meat, the content, and of course, you got to market your book because it's your book, but we set you up with white glove end-to-end service with absolutely everything that you need, so you don't have to worry about any of the nitty-gritty stuff. If you are worrying about the nitty-gritty stuff, the first thing you need to do is you at least need to buy my book, The 1 Hour Author. Look it up on Amazon, The 1 Hour Author by Renée Lautermilch. It walks you through every step of the writing process, through the publishing process, through the launch marketing process, and then even continuing to market your book beyond. So that is really like the guide that every person who is self-publishing really needs to give you all the information in one spot to set you up for success. A big thing that I get to in that book is if you are self-publishing, hiring freelancers, because let's say this, just because you're self-publishing doesn't mean that you do everything or that you should do everything yourself. You still need an editor. You still need a cover designer. You still need an interior formatter. If you want to put a book out that will gain credibility, it can't look like a DIY thing. When people see that, your credibility, it goes down. It's not going to help you build authority. People see this thing with a cover that was designed in Canva from someone who's clearly not a designer. You probably thought it looked good. I'm sorry, it didn't look good. Your book's riddled with grammatical issues and mistakes. It's not putting your best foot forward. So even if you're going to self-publish your book, it doesn't mean that you should do every little thing yourself. And especially if you've heard my previous episodes, you hear me say a lot, there is no such thing as editing your own book. So please stop. I don't edit my own books, and I'm an editor. When you are inside the picture frame, you're too close to the picture to see it. You need somebody who not only can bring a different perspective to your book from looking at it from the outside, but even if you think that you're a good writer, I promise you there's grammatical and punctuation things and all kinds of different things that you just don't know that an editor is going to know, because we live, breathe, eat, sleep this every single day. Okay. So put out your best foot forward. Put out your best work, and that means hiring the right people. So if we are looking at hiring the right people, where do we start? I like to start by talking about what platform you're going to use to find freelancers. So the first thing I would caution against is just finding random people on social media or Facebook, or just sort of working with people directly. without some kind of intermediary platform. Okay. So what does that look like? What are the options? My favorite option is Fiverr. That's usually where I send people the most. Fiverr, I think it has two R's at the end. FIV as in Victor, ERR, I think, .com. It's a great platform because it provides both a structure for accountability and systems for not just accountability, but protection, both for you as the author, but also for the freelancer, which is important because I think there's a lot of freelancers who unfortunately get taken advantage of out there as well. Um, Obviously, you're not paying the person directly, you're paying through Fiverr. So there is protection in that you're not giving someone you don't know your payment details. And if you don't end up getting the work or the work didn't meet the specification, you're not paying at all in those instances. So that's the great part about protection. Also, I would encourage you to go with someone who is top rated, lots of reviews, very high reviews, as close to 5 stars as possible, because you've got a ton of social proof in there. Somebody cannot rate and review someone the way that you can on Amazon. You can totally rate and review anything you want without actually even having the product. In Fiverr, it's impossible to rate or review anyone unless you have paid them for work. So those ratings and reviews are credible. There's no way to game that system. The only way to quote unquote game it is to actually do a good job. So that's the great thing. So then you know, like, hey, if this person has a lot of reviews, they've got really high ratings, not only is their work good, but they're really, really responsive. And you can read individual reviews. They have their portfolios posted on there too. So I highly encourage you, look at their work first and make sure that their work meets what you're looking for. And then, of course, there's a whole communication system. There are deadlines that are imposed in there as well. So if somebody just ends up ghosting you and you don't get anything, then you get your money back from Fiverr. Really, really easy. No harm, no foul. That won't happen with a top rated, top reviewed person. So that is where I would encourage you to look. And Fiverr's not gonna like me saying this, but like let's just say that you're writing like a whole book series and stuff. If you want to start working with that person directly after you've like come to know them and you've worked with them for a while, then at least you have some proof of their skill and their responsiveness and their delivery and everything, you know, because not all of them stay on Fiverr forever. Some of them end up going and opening their own agencies and stuff and acting that way, because Fiverr does take a pretty good share of what they earn. And I think I heard from somebody who's on Fiverr once that they actually even take a percentage of their tips. You can tip your person on Fiverr. That's pretty yucky to me. And of course, there's like different service fees and stuff. Obviously, you know, Fiverr's a business; it has to make money. But you know, that's a consideration. At least you can give somebody some reps, and if they decide to go off the platform, you know, a lot of them will let you know, like, hey, I'm leaving the platform. This is why I've started my own agency, whatever, yada yada yada. Well, you guys have a relationship now. You have a working relationship, and so now that you know you can trust that person to deliver quality work on time. Um, so that is where I would at least have you start. And, you know, obviously most people out here writing books aren't going to write like 10, 20 books, but some of you are. So that's that last piece of advice. So now that we've talked about the platform, let's talk about, you know, the second most important thing before I start going through like each the services. I would say the second most important thing is knowing enough about what you're hiring for to know you're not being cheated or given sloppy and poor and lazy work. With software that has automation, built in, with every single software now having some kind of AI component, it is really easy for specialists who specialize in things to be lazy and to do lazy work. So let me give you a couple examples. If you have a designer who's just using AI to design their covers, you should have a designer who is using stock imagery, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, things like that. If you have a designer who is using Canva and AI, find a real designer, please, because that's a really quick way to get a cover that looks like it was made with AI. AI still makes some pretty janky looking stuff. People can recognize it. We see the images all over social media every single day. Again, if you're putting your best foot forward, you want to have something that looks premium, high quality, and that's not the way to do it. Another example is I recently hired a specialist to do some indexing work for a technical book, and I can do an index, but it's not what I do every single day. I wanted to hire someone who indexing is literally all they do every single day. One, it's going to increase my bandwidth so I can do the most important work, which is the editing work and the publishing work. But also, it's going to be somebody who should just be better at it than me because that's all they're doing. Oh boy. So I had this person come to me, very highly recommended, and multiple people recommended this person to me. And that just shows me that multiple people didn't understand enough about the indexing process to know that this person was not as good as they thought this person was. And I'll get into the specifics here in a second. But, you know, all this person really did was use an automated tool within Microsoft Word, which is what you want to use. That's how you want to do it. There is an automated indexing tool in Microsoft Word, but they either didn't know enough about how the tool works or were too lazy to do it properly, that when I got the index back, it had a lot of issues with it. And I sent this back to them multiple times with feedback on what needed to be fixed. And each time they got it back to me, it still had issues. And this is where, again, I don't know if I'm just I will tell you, I am like a hyper detail oriented person down to a single period. And so I'm looking at everything, okay? Like every detail has to be right. Remember, this is a book, right? This is a book. This isn't just like some little ebook that we're throwing out there on the internet. This is a published book. So, yeah, down to the last period, it needs to be right, okay? There's no just, oh, good enough. It's a published book. It's supposed to build credibility, authority. It has to look professional. And so let me tell you, the way that the indexing tool in Microsoft Word works is you can type in a term and it will find and tag using code all of those terms within the document. But by default, and there's no way to switch this in Word, just by default, the way Word has built it, it's case sensitive. So if you type in, let's just say, artificial intelligence, capital A, lowercase I, it will only tag every instance where artificial intelligence is written that way. It will not tag artificial intelligence, capital A, capital I. And if you try to go and then search that term too, separately, then you're going to have an index that has AI listed twice with two different case spellings, which looks really sloppy. It should all be consolidated as one, including where it's treated as an abbreviation too, which again, obviously the tool doesn't find that. So what you have to do is you have to go into the code of Word and you have to find all the different variations of how it might show up, and you have to place that specific code right next to every single one. It's a tedious process, but if all you're doing is indexing, one, you should know this, and two, you should be doing it. So that is I'm gonna stop on this from now on. It made me so mad. I'm just like, this is all you do, and I'm over here doing. I either know more or I'm willing to do more than what I hired you to do. Make sure that when you are hiring somebody, this is why you need to know enough. Because if I didn't know that, I would have an index for an author that was sloppy, was missing multiple pages of terms, and had multiple issues riddled through it. Fortunately, I took a whole day and I fixed it myself because I couldn't send it back to this person a fourth time to have them yet get it to me again, with issues. So that is why you need to know what to look for. You need to know enough to be dangerous, okay? So that you know that someone's not giving you sloppy work because they're just using automations and AIs to do the majority of the work for them so that they can basically do all kinds of stuff at scale rapidly and just churn through stuff. And now it's quantity over quality. And guess what? You're part of that quantity, so you're not getting quality. Not a great position to end up in. Okay, so now that we've got platform to use and knowing enough about what you're hiring for to know if you're being ripped off or you're getting sloppy work, let's talk about individual services. First, I would hire individuals. I would hire specialists for each thing. So um, I would not use the same person for my interior formatting as I would use for my cover design, because again, the more highly specialized you get, the better job they're going to do, because they're not trying to monetize on this whole slew of things, making them a jack of all trades and a master of none. They are a master of cover design because that's all they do. They are a master of interior formatting, aka interior design, because that's all they do. So I would do it that way. I would rather piecemeal it, a la carte, to get the highest quality work. And that is why at Smart Publishing, we don't have one designer who does all those things. We have a cover designer. That's all he does. We have an interior formatter, aka designer. That is all he does. Editing. That is what I specialize in. That is what I do, along with the publishing side. Also, do not, please do not hire someone to do your KDP load for you. Okay. If you have an all inclusive service like we do at Smart Publishing, that makes sense. But don't go, if you're self-publishing, and hire someone to do your KDP load for you for a couple of reasons. I've seen multiple people out there charging like $150 to do that. It's 3 pages that you put some info on and you upload some files to. That is not worth $150. Look, I have a course that is $99 on smartpublishingservices.com that walks you through that entire process so that you can learn it for yourself. So I highly encourage you to just do it yourself, because what are you going to do when you publish the next book? You're going to pay another $150. If you learn it, you learn it once, and then you continue to do it. Also, what are you going to do if there's a mistake? How are you going to know if there's a mistake? How are you going to know how to fix it? What are you going to do when you realize you need to do a manuscript update and you update the manuscript and now you have a new file and you need to upload it? You really, really need to know how to navigate your KDP console if you are self-publishing and you don't have, an agency to rely on. Also, I would say, if you are paying someone to do your categories, that's another thing that you really need to know enough about to be dangerous. I didn't mention that because I went down such a rabbit hole on my fury with the indexer. But I have seen people charging $1,500+ for guaranteed bestseller to research people's categories. And these people don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing because, one, I went and did the same category research, and although these were decent fits with categories, they were not the most niche categories that they could get, and they were pretty highly competitive. And so we could have had very fitting categories that were tens, if not 100 sales less than these other categories that this person had pulled. This person was just kind of lazy with their category search and wasn't really truly thinking, how do we absolutely make sure that you hit bestseller status? They were on to the next one. Also, this person clearly didn't know that you have to align your keywords with your categories. The keywords that you choose, if they do not align with the same keywords that people are using to search books that end up in the categories that you're in, Amazon will change your categories. They reserve the right to change the categories. They do it all the time because they're a marketplace that does well by helping people find what they're looking for. And so their whole thing is, okay, based on these keywords, these categories don't make sense. So people aren't going to be able to find this properly through these categories. These are better categories that are aligned with these keywords. So now we're going to switch it. Well, there goes your whole bestseller strategy out the window because bestseller is based on your category. So now you've been placed, you had the rug swept out from underneath you because the person who was doing your categories did not do your keyword alignment. And now you paid $1,500 for nothing. So definitely something that is really important to know and consider. So what are all the different things that you can find freelancers for? Definitely do your cover design. Find a great editor. That's like the most important thing that you can do is a great editor. Find a great formatter as well. If you want to find someone to make, social media images for your marketing and stuff, you can find that person too. Having a really great book description is really important. Sometimes there are editors out there who specialize in not just editing but writing as well. So sometimes you can actually find a person who does both and is really good at both, but you want a description that is optimized to be able to convert page lands into purchases on Amazon. So that is definitely worth having that done. If you're shooting for bestseller, then it may be worth it to have someone do your categories. Honestly, if you're shooting for bestseller, just reach out to me. Just DM me and Facebook, and I'll just look up the categories for you. Please don't pay $1,500 for that. I'm gonna undercut them all out there now by doing it for free. I'll do it for you for free, okay? I want to see you win. If you listen to my podcast and you consume my content, I will help you. I am the only Renée Lautermilch on Facebook, or you can find me at smartpublishingservices.com. So those are kind of the main things. Maybe you have someone professionally write your author bio too, if you haven't had that done. So those are sort of the main freelancing things to have done. Again, do not hire someone to do your KDP load. You don't need that. You just need to know how to do it. You can get my course if you want a highly detailed walkthrough, or honestly, there's probably some stuff on YouTube that's decent. I dive into the nitty gritty in my course when I do it. Like I'm not just like put this here and put that there. I am explaining why you want to do things, how to optimize things, a lot of the different things that people who do these KDP loads don't realize. So if you want to get into the weeds and really become an expert in it, go that route. If you just kind of want to know how to do it on your own, go the YouTube route. So that is everything that I have for today. That is episode 27 for you. And if you have any questions, please, like I said, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Drop in my DM on Facebook. Search me, Renée Lautermilch, only one in the world, or look us up at smartpublishingservices.com. I am more than happy to help point you in the right direction. Definitely like our Smart Publishing page on Facebook. We post a lot of great and educational content on there. And if you haven't already subscribed to this podcast, hit that subscribe button now. Tell someone you know about it, and take 60 seconds to just rate and review the podcast. It helps get it out in front of more people who can be helped by informational and educational content like this. So as I always say, before we sign off here, keep writing your story because the world needs your voice. Until next time.